this piece the inheritance. Before I was born, my mother almost died. She was heavily medicated. The treatment shut her kidneys down. Her body failed. A priest was brought in and read her last rites. The family prepared for her death, but she survived. The doctors couldn't explain it. I think that story was my first inheritance. Long before I took my first breath, survival was already a part of my family's language. So was suffering. As a child, I didn't just witness it, I absorbed it. And I started to believe something quietly, that I would become my mother. That what was wrong in her would eventually take hold in me, that I was already on that path. My earliest years were free in a way I only understand now. I spent summers in the woods for hours. Home was chaotic, but there was love there too. My grandmother, Mary, became the mother I needed during those early years. She was strong. Strong in the way only people who have survived impossible things can be. I remember her azaleas so clearly. Every spring they filled the yard with magnificent color. Alive, defiant, something that kept growing anyway. When I was 8, I watched my grandfather dying of cancer. I could still see him on the floor screaming as he tore apart the box spring beneath the bed. When he died, the fragile stability in our home died with him. After that, everything unraveled. My grandmother began drinking, my mother's illness deepened, and the house lost its center. And inside me, something else formed. The fear that I was next, that I was becoming her, that I was inheriting not just pain, but a broken mind. That fear followed me everywhere. Foster care, school, even the safe homes. I learned to adapt, to stay quiet, to survive rooms I didn't feel safe in, to say I was fine when I wasn't, and I never was. My first foster home held 12 abused children. The foster mother was rarely there. The emotional and psychological abuse I experienced there became something I never talked about. I just survived it. Eventually, I ran away. When I was found, I was placed with Ron and Elaine Reed. And for the first time, I had decent food, a bed, stability. But I still didn't feel like I belonged. I felt temporary, like I could be sent away at any point. And underneath everything, still that belief that I was becoming my mother, that something in me would eventually break. My grandmother would ask me, "Do you like it there?" I could never tell her the truth. Not long after, her kidneys failed. She dug up all her azaleas. My uncle didn't understand why. I did. She was grieving, watching someone she loved being taken away. Not long after, she refused dialysis and died on her own terms. She died when I was 12. That was the first time I thought about not wanting to be alive. Not because I wanted death, but because I didn't know how to hold that much loss, and because I believed I was becoming what I feared. By high school, I had drifted completely. Drinking, using drugs, skipping school. No future I could see, and still the same thought. This is who I'm becoming. Then 9/11 happened. I remember watching people jumping from those towers and feeling overwhelming anger. All that suffering, all that loss, and for what? I skipped school one day and got high with a friend. We walked into a recruiter bus that showed up out front. I took the ASVAB, I scored well, and enlisted. It felt like direction, like escape, like structure. Basic training broke me down. Stress fractures in both femurs, months in recovery. Took me 6 months in total to finally graduate. But I did. And for the first time in my life, I felt proud of myself. Then Fort Bragg, top of my class at A school. And for the first time, I questioned something I had always believed. Maybe I'm not broken. Then the Iraq orders came. I was going to be a driver. The IED training was simple. Anything could kill you. A pile of trash, a dead animal, a soda can, anything. A few weeks before deployment, I had a vivid dream. I was shot in the head while facing an enemy in Iraq, lying paralyzed in the sand and beginning stages of death. Then incredible peace, surrender. I woke up gasping. 2 days before deployment, I got the call. The unit was reducing numbers and I was off the roster. They thought I'd be angry. I felt like I had won the lottery. The war I ended up fighting wasn't overseas, it was at home. Shortly after my canceled deployment, loss came in waves. Foster mother died suddenly. My foster father found her dead in the bed. I remember standing over her body in shock. My biological father died soon after from cancer that he had hidden from us. My foster father spiraled into alcoholism and died 3 years later. My uncle and I were left trying to care for my mother who could no longer care for herself. I was drowning. I stopped coping. I started disappearing. Alcohol, drugs, numbness. My reserve unit eventually discharged me. I had never gone back to drill. I sold my gear for weed money. My life had become survival and nothing more. Then my mother died. Her body exhausted after decades of medications, suffering. Something in me broke then. I was 30 years old. My drinking was completely out of control. One night, I put my roommate's gun in my mouth. I was ready. The only thing that stopped me was the thought I didn't want him to come home and find that mess. But something interrupted the moment long enough for me to live through it. A foster sister showed up with my roommate. She knew something was wrong. My roommate ran upstairs and hugged me, and I remember him shaking. That moment woke me up. That moment saved my life. I spent a week in Grippy Stop jail. And for the first time, I stopped trying to escape my life. I started trying to understand it. Healing didn't happen all at once. It took years. Years of recovery, years of therapy, years of learning how to sit still with feelings I had spent decades running from. Today, I am 6 years sober, and with the help of community, this community, healing continues. What I understand now is this. For most of my life, I believed I was becoming my mother. That fear shaped everything. And fear has won many battles in my life. Addiction, anxiety, depression, isolation. But fear doesn't get the final word. Healing begins when we stop running, when we become willing to look directly at the darkness in ourselves. Not with judgment, not with shame, but with compassion. I've come to understand that much of what I've carried was never mine to begin with. These patterns existed long before I arrived. They were survival strategies passed from one generation to the next, responses to trauma and incredible pain. The work of my life now is not becoming perfect. It is becoming present. It is learning to hold my flaws with love, to be an instrument of peace, to create space where others can feel seen. My struggles are unique, but they are not special. Every person in this room carries wounds. Every family has heavy stories. Every generation passes something forward. The question is, what will we pass on? Today, when I think of my family, I no longer see broken people. I see survivors. I see my grandmother, Mary. I see my mother, Rosemary. I see my Uncle Tom, the father I never had, who showed me through thousands of ordinary acts what real love looks like. And I see myself, a deeply sensitive child who inherited generations of pain. A woman learning that she also inherited generations of strength. I do this work not only for myself, I do it for them, to honor their struggles, to honor their sacrifices, and in the hopes that one day I can help others navigate this difficult path of inner work. I now believe that something beautiful is possible. Trauma can echo through generations, but so can healing. Thank you.